Here we are with part 4 of advanced bunker texturing. We're going to create a couple of additional texture maps to add into our shader to give just a little extra realism. Just a little simple Photoshop work, and then another software package that I will link to in the description. Alright, to Photoshop we go. We are in basically the same place we were at the end of the last video, but you will notice I couldn't help myself. I had to try and get a little better raking area than what I created on the fly last time. It's not bad. I went a little overboard. This person really raked a lot, but somehow still missed their footprints. That will be the final video in this series. I'll do a whole video just on those rake lines because I think it deserves it. For now, we're going to work on creating some other textures. Now, you guys, depending on how much you've done, you might know all about these other things, perhaps more than I do. But the really important one to get that real textured look in our sand is the normal map. Back when I was first doing 3D and stuff, you heard those talked about as a bump map. Not quite the same thing as a displacement map, but they're kind of doing the same thing. They're trying to fake additional geometry. They're trying to make it look like there's actually modeled rake lines and real indents where the footprints are, things like that. It's going to give us that appearance. So I'm going to zoom in one time on these rake lines. You can see it. I feel like it's still just a little larger than the rake lines in the tiling texture. So, you know, that's not ideal, but I'm a pretty anal artistic person. I'm going to let it fly for now, but that's something to really be aware of. It's just how big are the footprints in your bunker? How big are the rake lines? Do they look like they're appropriate sized? I mean, that is really going to be key. You can do as much beautiful texture painting as you want, but if the scale is wrong, it's really going to mess with the realism. So I'm going to turn off again my outer layer. I'm just going to do a quick save. Now, this is debatable. You could pull this map straight into this new software, but I'm going to do something else. First, I'm going to save my PNG file that I'm using as my albedo or my diffuse PNG main texture. So I'm going to replace that. Now, I don't think I pointed it out, but you can add these adjustment layers to files, and then non-destructively you can change the look of all layers under it. So it's down here, follow my mouse, down here at the bottom of the layers panel. I'm going to add a new levels layer, and I'm going to add a new saturation layer. Alright, so now I am in a program called Shader Map Basic version 4, SM4. It's a free program. There are paid versions, but unnecessary. Now, this is super powerful stuff that I'm just learning myself. So I'm not doing anything difficult here at all yet, but I bet there are many other features to unlock and effects we can create. But over here you can see I have the folder where I've saved all my images. Here's the one we just created, UV black and white. All we have to do is drag this into this app. That's it. It's calculating different maps, and pretty soon it's going to generate this software. Sorry, not software, this material. You can see how rough this looks. This is creating normal maps, occlusion maps, all kinds of stuff. Again, we could just drop in our regular full color version, and I've done that. It works fine, but I find that the black and white really gives you the best results. So all we do is we go up to these swatches here, and you can select them. It'll tell you what they are. This one is the standard black and white. This is the one we really are interested in. This is the normal map. normal displacement map. So we can change how intense it is. So you can see by dragging that up, it's creating an even almost craggy looking sand. And we have control over the intensity in Unity as well. So I haven't really changed much in here. Sometimes I'll play with these sliders for low, high effects, but there's really not been a lot I've had to do. I've liked it quite a bit. You can invert it. I haven't really done that either, although I can see an advantage to that as well, especially on the rake lines we created. It might create a little bit more bunchiness, but for now we're just going to use it the way it is. So I'm going to click this. I'm going to click set this little disk, the save thing, and it's going to put it in the same folder right where we were, and it's going to just name it UV black and white blah 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 normal, NORM PNG. I'm just going to save that one. And then there are some other ones here. Is this our detail? This is our specular, and then this one is our ambient occlusion. I haven't seen a lot of advantage to that, but I'd like to save it just in case. As I'm learning more about this, I could see it coming in handy. So that's it. We've just generated our normal and occlusion maps, and now we're going to bounce back into Unity and we're going to add those into our shader. Now every time we go back and forth and adjust files in that folder, it's going to update in Unity automatically. So you can see it's added in those changes I made to my rake area. Again, I think they look maybe just a little bit big at this point. A quick way to check that would be to pull in a human height person and stick him in our sand trap there. Now I think, yeah, you know what? I think his footprints and that sand look just a little bit big. That's easy to change. We'll just go in there and shrink it down. But for now, we're going to do texturing. So select that. Here is our basic model here. Right now, we only have the one map in right there. We don't really need a roughness for now, but what we are going to throw in is the normal map. So let's go in, find the material we need. We're going to go into our fold UV bunkers. Here it is, right here, our normal map. Let's drag it into our slot over here and just let go. And look at what happened. Now that's intense. That's maybe too intense, but that's because we've got it at full 1 right now. Also, it's going to say, sometimes you'll get this. This is not marked as a normal map, but there's an easy Fix Now button. Alright, so now we have the normal map acting as a full. Now you can see it's going to drag down. You can go all the way from negative numbers all the way to positive, and what that's creating is an up or down effect. At 0, it's not really in play. So we're just going to give it just enough to give us some depth. I've seen 0.5 to 0.6 being a sweet spot. That might be a little much, but again, we have kind of an early morning light. If we went to more of a noon, you know, it doesn't look quite as an extreme. You know, when we get more into the afternoon light, that hard raking light, that's when we're going to see, you know, that real effect. That's maybe a little too intense yet. But it might be because I made it a little more intense when I was generating the map. So we're going to drop that into the 0.4 area. That's a pretty dark sand trap. But you can also go in and just change the lightness of the background textures themselves. If they have a little less black in them, that's going to help. So if we go back into Photoshop, we have these adjustment layers. Remember, we don't have to use them only for our normal map. We have our normal map already, so we don't really need to do that again. So let's use our levels here to just bring the lightness up just a little bit. Make the darkest colors a little less dark. And again, that's non-destructive. You can change that at any point. So we're going to go in and save that. And don't overwrite your normal. This is our regular one, not the black and white. This is our just our diffuse color map. Let that save. Go back to Unity and watch it update. So that brought the color up just a little bit. And yeah, let's go look at what one of the tile sand traps look like here. I mean, it's pretty similar. The detail, I think, is a little higher right now in this trap because I think our resolution's better. Maybe we need to look at changing our rake, our general rake size. Even the, it's a little blurrier. Even the tiling rakes look a little large to me. They don't look as detailed as this one. So that would just be using a larger map or creating one that has a little smaller, tighter raking pattern. So we've got our base texture. That's the one that is the background tiling. We can change the size of that whole thing though. We'll just grab the whole background here. You can see I created a texture tile that was really large. So if I just shrink this down, that's making all the rake lines tighter. And remember, we want to keep this within our bunker shape. I think we're okay. Yeah, we're okay. So now we've made our rake pattern quite tight, a little smaller, but it's made these way too large, right? So then we're going to go in and grab all three of those. I'm using 3 different ones to make my rake. Grab those. I'm going to make those quite a bit smaller now to try and match a little better what we had before. And footprints too. Make those a little smaller. Alright. Now because I changed that, I am going to have to do a new normal because I've changed the size of some things. But now that I've done this, the process is going to be the same. I'm going to go back in here, have our black and white. I'm going to create that. Same effect. Let's not go quite as deep this time because last time it got almost too intense. Save this. This is the reason why you don't want to do this on every single bunker because, my God, it can take a long time. Alright, we're going to do a new one. Alright, so now you can see our rake pattern. It's a little closer to the size that we have over there. A little more appropriate sizing. Again, I should have maybe used a little higher resolution for this bunker. It is looking a little bit blurry to me up close, a little low res. People with 4K are probably going to notice that quite a bit. I'm not on my machine, but whoops. Alright, so now we have a more appropriate rake pattern, I think, size-wise. Yeah, that looks more like something you put a rake to. If you want to be really realistic and anal about things, you could move the rake mass over to the edge, because I mean Or maybe this is where he walked out and that's why he didn't rank there. I don't know. But those are the little things I think about. All right, enough of me rambling on. You get the idea of how to do it. Put some thought into it and play around and see what you come up with. Just be aware of mostly the size of things that you need to be using, and just make sure that you're very careful about what you save and how you save your files so that you can always go back if you need to. Have fun playing around, and I will do one more video on specifically how I've been creating that rake effect, and I'll try and do an even better job in that one. Thanks again for watching.